Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's Maths Lit session. My name is Nikki Wezulu and I'm going to be your teacher for today. And guys, please remember today's exciting lesson is proudly brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with the Saibono Discovery Center, and the broadcast is brought to you by the Pakama Research and Development. Guys, welcome back. Remember the last time our session we were busy with the tariff system. So for today's session we are continuing from where we left off. We'll still do our tariff systems, and then once we are done with our tariffs, we'll then move over to our second topic, which is interest. So guys, just to remind you, these were the outcomes that we had to achieve by the end of the tariff topic. So I'm not going to dwell much into the outcomes because I already outlined that last week. So moving on, guys, and then again, just a quick recap. We said we have different types of tariffs. We have your telephone tariffs, we have municipality tariffs, and under municipality we can have electricity, we have water, we have sewage, and then we also have your transport tariffs, and then lastly it is your banking tariffs. So last week our main focus was on your telephone, or rather your cell phone tariffs, and then we discovered that we had two types of cell phone tariffs or options or other packages. We've got the prepaid and we also have the contract option. So we worked with the different formulas that were given. We also derived our own formulas that would help us to calculate the cost if one wanted to know how much they would pay if they spent a certain number of minutes on their cell phones. So now we are moving over to a second type of tariff, which is now your electricity tariff. Remember, the electricity tariff, it falls under the municipality tariff. Now with the electricity tariff, guys, what you must know is that the electricity usage is measured in kilowatt per hour. So you'll always see when you get an electricity table, you will see the kWh. What you must know is that it stands for kilowatt per hour. So kilowatt, that is the unit that is used to measure what? To measure electricity. And then the amount of electricity that a person will pay each month, or rather the amount, the amount for electricity that a person will pay each month, it depends on the number of kilowatts per hour of electricity that they use during the month. I think from this statement we can then conclude that the more electricity you use, the more money you are going to pay. And then the electricity billing options, they include your prepaid, like the cell phones. Remember, cell phones we had prepaid and the contract. So for electricity we've got two options, which is the prepaid. Which one is the prepaid? Just like the cell phone, it is pay as you use. If you feel like this month you want a certain number of units, you will just pay for that number of units. If you feel that in June, since it's winter, you're going to need a lot of electricity, and then you decide to buy electricity worth 500 rands, you pay that 500 rands, then that's it. You don't owe anyone. That is then the prepaid. It is pay as you use. And then we have a second option, which is a fixed or a billing system. So a fixed or a billing system, it is a system whereby a customer uses electricity for the month. Like now, let's say now we are in April. I use electricity for the month of April. There's no limit. And then at the end of the month, the municipality will send me a statement to say, okay, Nikiwe, for this month, you've used this number of kilowatts per hour of electricity, and therefore you must pay this amount of money. So that is what we mean when you talk about a fixed or a billing system type of electricity. Now, there are advantages of using this system. As much as there are advantages, there's also the disadvantages. So the examiner can ask you, what are the advantages of using a billing system? One would say that with the billing system, the advantage is that there is no limit to the amount of electricity that you use. So you use as much electricity as you want. But there's also a disadvantage. A disadvantage is that because there is no limit, it means you've got no control over your bill that is coming at the end of the month. You will get surprises at the end of the month to say, this month your bill was 6,000 rands, and you find that you are not even prepared for that amount of money for electricity. So that is the advantage and the disadvantage of using a fixed or a billing system when it comes to electricity, because you use now and you pay later. So we have a table that we use to calculate when you want to calculate if a person used this number of kilowatts of electricity, then how much are they going to pay for that amount of electricity. So guys, what you must know is that electricity, just like your water or your cell phones, is charged at a sliding scale. What does a sliding scale mean? It means the more you use, the more money you are going to pay. And then each unit that you are using is accommodated in a different block. That is what is meant by a sliding scale. So what does this mean? It means that the more electricity you use, the higher the rate at which you are charged for electricity. Is basically what I said here, that the more electricity you use, the more money you are going to pay. So this table is an example of sliding scales for electricity tariffs. It is sliding because they don't charge a one amount to say for the use of electricity we are charging you this amount per kilowatt. No, it is divided into different blocks. As you can see, for block number one caters for people that have used the units from 0 to 50 kilowatts per hour. And then this is where they will charge you. They will charge you 0.8375 rands per kilowatt hour. And what you must also take note of, guys, is we always teach you that money must always be rounded off to 2 decimal places. But when it comes to the tariffs, especially for electricity, you will see your money will have more than 2 decimal values. So when you do your calculations, you do not round off this value to 2 decimal places. You work with it as it is, and then you will round off your final answer to 2 decimal places. Now, how do we work with this table? We need to know the number of kilowatts now that are accommodated per block, so that when we calculate, we know that if a person has used 10 kilowatts, then 10 kilowatts, it falls under the first block. So let's look at block number 1. It's from 0 to 50. So from 0 to 50, how many kilowatts are there? It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 48, 49, 50. It means it is 15 kilowatts per hour. So this block accommodates 50 units. And then you move on to the second block. You want to know how many units are accommodated in the second block. What you do, guys, you are focusing on this value. You don't consider this one. You don't even look at it. So you take this 350, you subtract the 50 that is on top. Always. That is what you do. So you will say 350 minus 50. You are left with what? With 300. What does the 300 mean? It means for the second block, for block number 2, only 300 units of electricity are accommodated. If you exceed these 300 units, then you'll have to be charged in the next block. And then do you see what happens here with the tariffs? The more you move, the higher the tariff. And then let's go to block number 3. For block number 3, if you want to know how many units are accommodated here, we take this 600, we say 600 minus 350. And 600 minus 350, how much are you guys getting there? I'm getting 250, meaning block number 3 only accommodates 250 units. And then the last block now, the last block accommodates anything that is above 600 kilowatts per hour. So once you've done this, when you get this table in the exam, in a test or anywhere else, the first thing that you do, you create this column whereby you are going to write the number of units that are accommodated per block. And then you need to check if the way that you've you've separated them, the way that you've allocated them, if it's correct. How would you know that it's correct? When you add this plus this plus this, it must give you a total of 600, because we said here it's up to 600 units. So let us check. You are going to say 50 plus 300, it is 350. Plus 250, it is exactly what? It is exactly 600 units. Therefore, our breakdown is 100% correct. The mistake that most of the learners are making is that when they break down, when they want to determine how many units are accommodated per block, they would take this 350 and say minus 50. This is minus 51. This is incorrect. It's wrong. You don't even look at these values. You focus only on the values this side only. I hope that that makes sense. So this is an example of the electricity tariff table. Guys, remember to keep in touch. We still have our active WhatsApp line number, which is 082 760 2630. Guys, please, no video calls, no phone calls, just WhatsApp messages, a text message. You can send us any question. If you did not understand what I just explained here, you can send the question. Our team is waiting for you to assist you. If you have a problem there, you can take a picture and send that into our WhatsApp line. We'll also try and assist you there. Even if you don't have any question, you can just send a message, a shout out to your classmates. Don't forget to indicate your name, your surname, and the name of your school. Even if you want to send a shout out to your teacher, that is also welcome. Yes, so please do use our WhatsApp line number. We like hearing from you guys. And then here is it's an activity, or rather an exercise that we can quickly do together. And then this exercise was adapted from the Free State prelim paper that was written in 2018. So they say the table alongside shows the Mfuleni local municipality domestic electricity tariffs during a low season period. So we've got the table here, and then they're telling us that all the tariffs are 15% VAT exclusive. So all these prices that we see here, they are exclusive of VAT. Now let's check the first block. The first block is from 0 to 50 kilowatts. It means how many kilowatts are accommodated here? It is just 0. It's just 50 kilowatts. I'm sorry about that. From 0 to 50, it is 50 units. And then from 51 to 350. Remember, I said you're going to say 350 minus the 50 on top. And then it means how many units are accommodated here? It is just 300. And then from 351 to 600, we say 600 minus 350. So 600 minus 350, it is 250. And then here, it is anything that is above 600. Once you've exceed the 600 units, whatever that you get there, it will fall on this last block, on block number 4. So we haven't answered any questions. We're just looking at what we are having. Remember what I always say, we are preparing for war. We are preparing our guns. Now we are ready. We know what we have. We can now go for our war. Here is the question. You must calculate the amount paid for using 400 kilowatts of electricity. Let's quickly fix our table. Remember, the first block, we said it accommodates what? 50. The second one, 350 minus 50, it is 300. The next one is 600 minus 350, it is 250. And then the last block, anything that is above 600. So now we must calculate the cost of using 400 kilowatts. So how do we go about our calculations? Most of you will say, oh, 400. 400 is accommodated in block number 3, between 351 and 600. And then you will take the 400, you times it by 1 rand, 3594. That is incorrect. That is very wrong. Because if it's 400 like this, we need to break it down from block number 1. Block 1 only accommodates how many kilowatts, guys? It accommodates only 50 kilowatts. So then you will say, okay, for block 1, it is just 50 kilowatts. And then what is the cost then? It is 0.9015. That is for block 1. And then block 2, it accommodates what? 300 units. So we are going to say 300 units. 300 units. What is the cost there? It is R1.61. So all in all, how many units have we done now? We did 50 plus 300, which is equals to 350. But what were we supposed to calculate? We were supposed to calculate for 400. So from 400, you take out 350. How many units are now left? We are only left with 50 kilowatts per hour. And this is now in block 3, the next block. And then what is the cost there per kilowatt? It is multiplied by 1,3594. And then now let us use our calculators. All of you take out your calculators and help me calculate them. It's 50 multiplied by 0.9015. I'm getting the answer of 45 rand, 0.075. Remember I said we don't round off as we're doing our calculations. We will round off when we get our final answer. Let's now calculate for the second block. It is 300 multiplied by 1,0161. And what is the answer? It is 304. I'm going to write it here. I don't have enough space. 304 and 83 cents. And then now for the last block, we'll say 50 kilowatts multiplied by 1,3594. And what is the answer now? I am getting 67 rands and 97 cents. And then guys, if you want, you can check that 50 plus 300, it is 350. 350 plus 50 gives you what? 400, which is correct because we were required to calculate the cost of using 400 units of electricity. Now we want the total amount. When we want the total, we'll take the 45 rand, 0.075 plus the 304 rand and 83 plus the 67 rand 97 cents. Let's add the 3. 45,075 plus 304,83. What answer are you guys getting there? Because I am getting 417,875. But because we are talking about money and this is the final answer, we can round it to 2 decimal places, and then it's 417 and 88 cents. So this would be the money that you're going to pay if you used 400 units worth of electricity. Now, the next question, we must calculate the amount to 2 decimal places for a customer who used 183,9745 kilowatts hour of electricity in block number 3. Guys, this particular question, it is specific. It is specific. It wants us to calculate the cost for using 183,9745 units in block number 3. So they don't even want us to break up anything or break it down or divide. No, they're telling us that we must go straight to block number 3 and use block number 3. Straight to the point. So where is block number 3? Here is block number 3. And what is the cost there? It is 1,3594. So I'm going to calculate the cost now. We'll say the cost would be 183,9745 kilowatts hour, you multiply by the cost per kilowatt in that block. What is the cost then? It is 1,3594. And then what is the answer? Please also, guys, do your calculations there and send through your answers in our WhatsApp line. I will read your solutions. Please, I would really appreciate it if you guys can just keep your answers coming. So let us all punch this in our calculators to say 183. Oh, sorry, it's 183, 9745 multiplied by 1,3594. And then the answer that I'm getting here, I'm not sure about you guys there, it is 184,3247353. But there was a specific instruction. What was the instruction there? That we must calculate the amount to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places means after the comma, we only want 2 digits. So let's round this to 2 decimal numbers. It is 184 and 32 cents. And then remember, guys, when you are instructed to round, it means now the answer that you get on the calculator, you must write it as it is. After that, then you write your rounded off answer. Do not skip this step. This question is for 3 marks. Where is the 3 marks coming from? The first mark is for multiplying the two values. The second mark is for this answer that you got from the calculator. And then the final mark is for your rounded off answer. So you realize that if you skip this step, if you don't show this step, then you're going to lose a mark and you will only get 2 out of 3. So make sure that you indicate, you show all your steps as you do your calculations. And then, guys, that has brought us to the end of our electricity tariff. I hope you understood it. Remember, we are not teaching it here. We are just revising what you already learned in term 1 from your class teachers, or rather your maths lit teachers. So now that since we are done with the tariff and the electricity tariff table, we can now move to the water tariff. The water tariff works exactly like the electricity tariff. The manner in which we work with the water tariff table is the same way that we operate the electricity tariff table. You will see what I'm talking about here. So for water tariffs, you must know that the unit that we use, because here we are talking about large amounts of water that are used. So the unit that we'll be using when you work with the water tariff, it is your kiloliters. Sometimes the examiner will trick you and ask you to calculate the cost when somebody has used this number of liters of water. Now you must be smart. You must remember, you must think that, oh, they're asking me about the liters, but I know that with the water tariffs, we only work with kiloliters. The examiner will not tell you that convert this to kiloliters first, then you can do your calculations. So you must know it. And lucky for you guys is that since last week, you've been busy with conversions. So even if you come across a question that they give you the water usage in liters, you will be able to convert those liters to kiloliters because you are currently doing conversions. And then you must also note that when you work with the water tariffs, 3 kiloliters are given. So it will always be indicated on your table that if you use between 0 and maybe 6 kiloliters, then you will pay 0, 0. What does it mean when you pay 0, 0? It means that those kiloliters are for free. And then after the 3 kiloliters are used, then the different rates are going to be charged. And just like the electricity tariffs, the water tariffs are also charged using a sliding scale, meaning that the more water you use, the more money you are going to have to pay. And the less water that you use, then the less your payment is going to be. And then they're also using the free water, the free kiloliters, to give people free kiloliters to encourage people not to waste water, to know that if I use this little amount of water, then at the end of the month, I might not even pay a cent for using that water. So it encourages people to use less water because they have a chance to actually save. So we've got an example of a water tariff table here, guys. So look, this is what I was talking about here. to say that the first one, up to 6 kiloliters. What does up to 6 kiloliters mean? It means if you use from 0 up to 6 kiloliters, then the charge is going to be free, meaning you're not going to pay a cent. Before we go that, I'm sorry about this. Let's look at this table, the heading. This is the all tariffs. And then these tariffs, they say all tariffs are VAT exclusive. So all these values that you see here, they are not including VAT. Don't be surprised when the examiner says calculate the cost including VAT, because these values here are exclusive of VAT. So the first block from 0 to 6 kiloliters, it is free. So you pay 0, you pay nothing. And then I already broke down the table for you guys here, but I can quickly remind you how do we break up the table. So from 0 to 6, guys, you count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, meaning it's how many kiloliters? 6 kiloliters. That is how we got this 6. And then from 6 to 10, you will say 10 minus the 6 on top. It is always minus the value on top. We don't subtract this one. So 10 minus 6, it gives us 14. And then the next one is 15 minus 10. 15 minus 10 is how much? It is 5. Then we have 20 minus 15. It gives us what? 5. Then we've got 30 minus 20. It gives us how much? 10. We've got 40 minus 30. It gives us what? 10. Then anything, this sign, it means above. Anything above 40 kiloliters. Anything that is over 40 kiloliters, it will now be accommodated in this last block. And you see what happens with the tariffs here? The more water you use, the higher your tariffs. So when you get into the exam, you are given a table like this. The first thing that you do, you address this middle part. You break down your tariffs according to the different blocks. So let's look at this exercise. This is from the Western Cape Prelim that was written in 2018. So they say Mr. Mabele received a letter from the city of Cape Town to explain his high water consumption. So it means this family has used a lot of water. The following information was in the letter. So the water period, guys, is from the 1st of April until the 30th of April. If you are in the exam room, you are already thinking, from the 1st to the 30th. It's how many days, guys? It is 30 days. Okay, sharp. The next bullet. The previous meter reading was 7,849 kiloliters. So that is the previous, let's say maybe the last month's reading. And now there's a new meter reading, which is 7,866 and 82 kiloliters. So we've got the previous reading. They use that amount of water. Now we have a new reading. So the new reading is more than the previous reading. But we want to know how many kiloliters did they actually use. How do you determine that? We will take the new meter reading, the one that is bigger, and then we'll subtract the old water reading. It will tell us exactly how many kiloliters were used. So how would we do that? We will say then 7,866,82 minus 7,866, 7,849. Excuse the bad handwriting. Minus 7,849. Yeah, just that. So let's subtract. It's 7,866,82 minus 7,849. And then the answer, guys, that I'm getting from my side, it is 17,82 kiloliters. So it means Mr. Mabele's family, for the month of April, they use 17,82 kiloliters of water. We haven't answered any questions, guys. So the water bill is 1,016 and 12 cents. So for that month, the municipality said you must pay $1,016.12 for your monthly water bill. And how much water did they use, guys? They used 17,82 kiloliters. And then the sewage is an additional cost that is equals to 60% of the water bill. So guys, remember, we are also charged for the sewage that is in our homes. And then yes, the municipality would normally charge you a certain percentage of your water bill, because now it cannot be calculated how much sewage was accumulated for the period of a month. So whatever amount of water that you use, the municipality will decide on a certain percentage to say that, okay, they've used these kiloliters, this is their cost. So for sewage, we will charge them a certain percentage. And in this case, they are charging them what? 60% of their water bill. And remember, their water bill was how much? It was $1,016.12. So the Mabela's household consists of 5 members. So there's 5 of them, including Mr. Mabele. The suggested daily water consumption is 50 liters per person. So the suggested daily water consumption, each member of the family a day, they are given an allocation of about 50 liters. Remember, water is for drinking, is for bathing, for flushing the toilet, for washing the dishes, doing the laundry, all that information. So each person is allocated at least how much? 50 liters per day, because they say the daily water usage. Are we happy? That is our information. We haven't answered any questions. We're just going through the information that is given to us. So A, you must suggest one way on how Mr. Mabele can save water. This one is a very interesting one, guys, and I want you guys to answer this one. So I want you to tell us one way on how Mr. Mabele can save water. And please send through your replies on our WhatsApp line number 082-760-2630. I want to hear from you guys. Remember, when you send your answer, also remember to mention your name, your surname, and the name of your school. And then I'm going to shout out your answers. I will share the answers with everyone, and then I'll give a special shout out to you. Remember, you must give me your name and the name of your school. So this one, guys, is for you. I want you guys to suggest one way on how Mr. Mabele can save water. The second question, remember, in the previous slide, we said here, it is for 30 days. And then we calculated the difference here to say the amount of water that was actually used. It was how much? It was, okay, yeah, the calculator erased here. It is 7866.82 minus 7849, which is equals to 17,82 kiloliters. And then we know that there's 5 members in the house, and the daily consumption, daily means every day, it is 50 liters per person. So let's go to the second question now. We must now calculate how much more is the water consumption in liters than the suggested monthly usage for the Mabele household. Guys, I want you guys to do this one. It's for 6 marks, so I'm going to give you exactly 2 minutes to do it, and you send through your solutions on our WhatsApp line number 082-760-0630. And remember to send your name and the name of your school, and then I will share the solutions after this short break. 2 minutes, guys. Welcome back, guys. I hope you have your solutions. I tried to go through our WhatsApp messages, but I see the messages are coming in very slowly. It's probably the network, but it's okay. We'll be waiting for your answers, and then we will share them with the rest of the learners. Now, let us do this one together. We must calculate how much more is the water consumption in liters than the suggested monthly usage for the Mabele household. Remember, what is the suggested water usage? It is 50 liters daily. But here they want what the monthly usage, the suggested monthly usage. So we are going to assume that our month is what it is, 30 days. So let's check the suggested monthly usage. So I will say suggested monthly usage. It's going to be equals to 50 liters multiplied by what? And for the Mabele household, remember, is 50 liters multiplied by 30 days. But this is just for one person. And the Mabele household has how many people? 5 people. So we'll multiply by 5 people. Let's punch that in our calculators. It is 50 multiplied by 30 multiplied by 5 people, which is equals to 7,500 liters. So the suggested monthly usage for the Mabele household, for all of them, it is 7,500. So we want to know how much more did they use, or how much less did they use in what? In liters. Remember, for 30 days, how much water did they use? They used 17,82 kiloliters. So I'm going to write it down that they use 17,82 kiloliters. But now we need to compare liters, meaning we need to convert our kiloliters to what? To liters. Remember, when you are doing conversions, when you convert from kiloliters to liter, you are converting from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Therefore, you are going to multiply. And what is the conversion factor between the two? It is 1,000. So we will say 17,82 multiplied by 1,000, which is going to be how much, guys? 17.82 times by your 1,000. It is your 17,820 kiloliters. This is how much they have used, and this is the suggested amount. They were advised to use 7,500. So we must calculate how much more is the water consumption, meaning we must calculate what? The difference. So how much more? How much more? We'll say 17,000. I'm sorry, it's not in kiloliters. We've already converted this. It is now in what? In liters. So it's 17,820 liters minus the 7,500 that was suggested. So what is the answer, guys? I'm getting 300 and 17,000, okay. 17,820 minus 7,500. It's giving us 10,320 liters. So this is the amount of water that they went extra with. This is how much more they used, more than the recommended dosage. They were advised that each person must at least use 50 liters. It means as a family, for a month, they are required to use at least 7,500 liters, but they exceeded that. They used how much? 17,820. And I think this explains why their water bill was now so high for this particular month, is because they've exceeded their daily usage consumption, or rather their monthly usage consumption. And this question is for how many marks? It is for 6 marks. It's 6 marks because there's a lot of calculations that you had to do here. There's a lot of thinking outside the box that had to be done here. But the nicest thing about this question is that everything that you need to solve your problems, it will always be be given. There is so much information that is given here. You must be able to interpret. This is a financial document. You must be able to interpret it, scan through the information that is given to you, and take out the important parts, the important items that are going to assist you in solving your problems. And then question number 3, they say use the table alongside to determine the amount of money Mr. Mabele will pay for using 30 kiloliters of water for the month of May. Before we even answer questions, we work on our table. Remember, I said we always create that column. Guys, this table is from 0 to 12. You count from 0, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Meaning how many kiloliters are accommodated in this block? It is 12 kiloliters. And then the next block is from 12,1. It means immediately after 12 to what? To 28 kiloliters. But remember, I said you don't even look at these values. Yours is this value. Take this value, you subtract the one on top. So you say 28 minus your 12, which is equals to 16. So for this block, we're only going to accommodate 16 kiloliters of water. And then here, guys, it cannot be 22,1. It was a mistake. It should be 28,1. From 28,1 to 60, we'll say 60 minus 28. So 60 minus your 28, it's equals to 32. It's giving us 32. Now, if you want to test it, you can say that 12 plus 16, let's do it together. 12 plus 16 plus 32, what are you getting? I'm getting 60, meaning that my breakdown is correct because here it ends at exactly 60 kilowatts. And anything else above that will then be accommodated in this last block here. I hope that makes sense. And then this is the price per kiloliter. And then category 1, which is block number 1, it is 0, 0, meaning that the first 12 kiloliters are free. You will not pay anything. And then if you happen to use 15 kiloliters for a particular month, it means you are only going to pay for how many kiloliters? 3 kiloliters, because the 12 kiloliters are free. I hope I make sense, guys. So we are going to use this table to calculate the amount of money that will be paid if this family used 30 kiloliters of water. We'll start with the first column. The first column, it is using what? 12 kiloliters. So it is 12 kiloliter. What is the cost then? It is 0, 0. Are we okay? And then the second block, so I'm going to write this is category 1. Category 2, it only accommodates what? 16 kiloliters. So we'll say 16 kiloliters multiplied by what is the cost then? It is 7 rand 96 cents. Remember, we are calculating for what? For 30. So I want to check 12 plus 16. It's giving me, I'm always relying on my calculator because I want to be sure. 12 plus 16, it's equals to 28. So here, so far, we've covered what? We've covered 28 kiloliters. But how many kiloliters are we supposed to calculate for? 30. So 30, you subtract 28. How many kiloliters are now left? You are left with just 2 kiloliters. 2 kiloliter. And then, but this 2 kiloliter, it falls under block number 3. And what is the cost there? It is 13 rands and 55 cents. 13 rands and 55 cents. So if you want to test again, you can say 12 plus 16 is 28 plus 2. It gives you what? 13 kiloliters will be how much? Now let's do our maths, our calculations. We start with the 16 multiplied by 7 rand 96 cents. It gives me 127 and 36 cents. And then I have 2 kiloliters multiplied by 2 kiloliters multiplied by 13 rand 55 cents. It gives how much? It gives 27 rand 10 cents. Now we want the total now for 30 kiloliters. We say 27 rand 10 cents plus 127 and 36 cents. And then it gives us how much? 154 and 46 cents. So this is the amount of money that this family, Mr. Mabele's family, is going to pay if they used 30 kiloliters of water. Guys, I'm sure by now you now understand how this table works, because the same way that you work this water table, it is the same way that you do calculations on your electricity table. The main thing, the key thing, is to be able to break down your tariffs per block, to know that block 1 will accommodate this number of kiloliters. Block 2 will accommodate this number of kiloliters, block 3, and so on. And once you've done your breakdown, check it that is correct. Check it that if you say 12 plus 16 plus 32, it must give you 60. If it doesn't give you 60, like here, then it means your breakdown was incorrect somewhere. And then when you do your calculations, they say you must calculate for 30 kiloliters. Once you've broken down, like it's more like you are coming up with your own formulas. You must add now this value plus this value plus this value. They must give you the total that was asked. Guys, please do revise this. This is a section that is normally challenging to most of the learners, but I think with what your teachers have taught you, plus this revision session, then you guys will definitely be good to go. And remember, Mathslit is just like mathematics. You might understand the concept now, you master it, but if you don't practice it, you are going to forget it. You're going to come across something like this in your prelim exam or your final exam, but because you haven't been practicing it, you're even going to forget. You wouldn't even know how to answer it. So as we prepare in our study timetables, let's make sure that we always touch, especially on those problematic sections like your tariff systems. And then we are moving on to our next type of tariff, which is our transport tariffs. So for transport tariff, again, guys, it depends on the rates that are charged by a service provider. If you are using a bus, let's say you are traveling with a bus, you are traveling from Johannesburg to Bloemfontein. It depends on the service provider. Who is the service provider? If you are traveling by a bus, let's say if you are using Greyhound and your friend is using Intercape, the amount of money that is going to be charged is not going to be the same. Even though the distances are the same, it won't be the same. Also, for someone that is using a bus and the other person using a taxi, for traveling from Johannesburg to Bloemfontein, the amount of money that each of you is going to pay will not be the same, because it all depends on what? On the service provider. Who are the service providers here? Your Greyhound bus services, your Intercape bus services, or even your taxi. It is your service provider. And then the distance is also used to charge the tariff. So if you're going to use, let's say, a maxi taxi and Uber, the amount of money that you are going to pay will depend on the distance that you are going to travel. And the longer the distance, it means the more money you are going to pay. It cannot be that the one person is traveling a shorter distance, the other one a longer distance, but you end up paying the same amount of money. It doesn't work like that. So the longer the distance, the more money you are obviously going to pay. And then regular users are often discounted. An example here would be your people that are using, I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with the Gautrain. When you travel with the Gautrain from, let's say, Johannesburg to Pretoria, there's a certain fee that they charge you, that you pay, if you are just going to use it for one day. But they have regular customers, and their regular customers would normally buy a ticket for the week or a ticket for the month. So if you purchase a ticket for the month, it means now you are their regular customer. You'll be using their services every day. So there's a certain discount that they give you, unlike someone that only uses the Gautrain once. You'll find that for Gautrain, if I use it once a day, I will pay 190 for a single trip. Whereas if you book a ticket for the month, maybe you'll end up paying 170 per day, but provided that you take those many days, because that would be an indication that you are their regular customer. And then sometimes we may use the distance chart to determine the cost if the rates are charged per kilometer. So the distance chart, you don't have to worry about that. If you need to use it, it will be given to you to indicate the traveling distances. To say someone that's traveling maybe from Kimberley to Cape Town, then you can see the number of kilometers that they will be traveling. And we will do the distance chart in detail this time when we do the section of maps. So guys, here is a nice activity on the transport tariffs. And guys, please remember to keep those messages coming on our WhatsApp active number, which is 082-760-2630. We'd like to hear from you guys. Just tell us how you feel about the lesson. Are you enjoying it? Are you having fun? Do you finally understand this section of the tariffs? We'd like to hear from you. And remember to tell us your name, the name of your school. If you want to send a special shout out to your teacher, you are more than welcome to do so. So here is a nice question form from the 2018 National Senior Certificate November exam. It was a paper 2. So they're saying a parent of one of the learners wants to hire a car for her child's matric dance farewell. Car hire companies have different tariffs and benefits on offer. Parents will compare these offers and choose the one that will give them the best value for their money. And best value for money does not always mean cheaper. Doesn't always mean that. The tariffs of 2 car hire companies are given below. So the table below shows the cost of the 2 options. Remember, we have 2 options. We have the Avis car hire. We also have the budget car hire. So let's look at the options here. For the Avis car hire, they are charging 650 per kiloliter. Meaning if you travel for 10 kiloliters, 10 kilometers, it would be 650 multiplied by 10 kilometers. Are we okay? So for Avis, we can derive a formula. It's very easy and straightforward. For Avis, they are charging 650 per kilometer. So if you wanted to know their formula that they're using, it is 650 multiplied by the number of kilometers. N stands for the number of kilometers. Let's say you want to travel for 10 kilometers. So the cost for 10 kilometers would be 650 multiplied by, I said how many kilometers? 10 kilometers. Then the cost would be 650 times 10 would be 65 rands. If you are using Avis and you're going to travel for 10 kilometers. So if you check on the table there, Avis car hire for 10 kilometers, it's true you're going to pay 65 rands. So this is how they determine the 65 rands. If you want to know how they got this 260, they got the 260 kilometers. I mean the 260 amount, it is when the distance is what is 40 kilometers. So we'll say for 40 kilometers, what is the cost? It is 6 rand 50 times how many kilometers? Times 14 kilometers. So multiply there to say 6 rand 50 multiplied by 14, it gives me 260. And it's correct. This is how they got the 260. Now we've got the budget. Let us derive a formula for budget. So for budget, I don't have enough space. I will write it here. I'll write the 165. You're so expensive. 165 plus. Guys, what is plus? Addition. It means you must plus. Plus what? 3 rand 50 per kilometer. So it's plus 3 rand 50 multiplied by n. And n stands for what? The number of kilometers. Now let's calculate now the cost for using 10 kilometers using this formula. It will be 165 plus 3 rand 50 multiplied by 10 kilometers. meters. So we punch this in our calculator to say 165 plus 350 multiplied by 10 kilometers. And what is the answer? It is 200 rands. And then guys, this is how they got this 200 rands. And then guys, the other one, or let's check, how did they get this 235? I wanted us to check how did they get this 235. This 235, remember we are doing for budget, and you say for budget, the formula, it is 165 plus 350 multiply by how many kiloliters, guys? We want to know how they got this 235 multiply by 20 kilometers. So let's punch on our calculators there to say 165 plus 350 multiplied by 20 kilometers. It gives us 235 rands. So this is how they got the 235 rands. Guys, I haven't answered any questions. This is what you do when you are in the exams. When you are given a table that has the values, you must know how those values were determined, because one way or the other, the examiner will expect you to find one of the missing values. So if you don't know how they were determined, you won't be able to find the value of A, the value of B, and the value of C. I hope that makes sense. I think now that we've got our formulas, we know what is happening, we can now finally answer the question. The question was saying, calculate the missing values A, B, and C. So how do we find the value of A? What is A? A, it is the cost for Avis if you use 20 kiloliters. So let's say A, it is for Avis. And remember, it is the formula for Avis. It is 650 multiplied by the number of kilometers. And how many kilometers are there? It is 20 kilometers. So let's find A. We say 650 multiplied by 20. It is 130. So the value of A is 130. And now let's find the value of B. For B, it is the cost for using the budget car hire if the number of kiloliters is what is 40. So what is the formula now for budget, guys? It is 165 plus how much? Plus 350 multiplied by the number of kilometers. And in this case, what is the number of kilometers? We say that it is 40. So let's punch in on our calculators. We say 165 plus 350 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 40. The answer is 305. So 305 is the value of B. And now, guys, now we need to find the value of C. But what is C? C is our kilometers traveled. A tough one. So remember, we've got two formulas. We've got the formula for budget. For budget, the formula is cost is equals to, or rather kilometers traveled, né? It's equals to 165 plus 350 multiplied by N. N is the number of kilometers. And then we also have a formula for what? For Avis. For Avis, cost is equals to 650 multiplied by N. And N is what? Is the number of kilometers. So we can use the first formula for budget, or we can use the formula for Avis. But I'm a maths-lit person, so I always prefer short, nice and easy things. I don't want anything that's complicated. So I'm going to use the Avis option to help me find the number of kilometers that were traveled. So my formula is what is cost equals to 6 rand 50 multiply by n, and n is what is the number of kilometers. So I come to this block. What is the cost now for Avis? For Avis, the cost is 455. So where I see cost, I will write 455 is equals to 6 rand 50 multiply by n. Remember what is n? It is the number of kilometers traveled. So we want the number of kilometers traveled. But there's this 650 that is disturbing us. Otherwise, we would be having our n. So how do we get rid of this 650? Because it's multiplication. And the inverse of multiplication is what is division. The opposite of multiplication is division. So to get rid of this 650 and it's multiplied, I'm going to divide. Divide by what? By 6 rand 50. And what I do on the left hand side, I must also do on the right hand side. Why am I dividing by 6 rand 50? So the 6 rand 50 can cancel that other 6 rand 50. And what am I left with? I'm left with n. So now let's do the maths. It's 455 divided by 6 rand 50. The answer that I'm getting it is 70. Therefore, the number of kilometers is what it is, 70 kilometers. If the cost for Avis is 455 and the cost for budget is 410. I hope you guys understand this. And if you want to take it further, if you want to check if you are correct, you can go back to the formula here and then take this 70 and put it where you see n. So you are going to say what? You are going to say 6 rand 50 multiplied by 70. So you'll say 70 multiplied by 6 rand 50. It will give you 455, which is correct because that is the cost there. And then the second question, the child wants to travel 80 kilometers on a particular day. Which car hire company would be cheaper and by how much? You must show all your calculations. So you must check, guys, that if a person travels for 80 kilometers, which car hire company would be the cheapest and by how much? This type of a question, it is a level 4 type of a question. It wants you to show by means of what? Of calculations. And then at the end, you must give a conclusion to say, therefore, company so and so is actually the cheapest based on your calculations. So guys, this one, I want you guys to try it, and I'm giving you just 2 minutes, and then we'll come and discuss it together as a group. Welcome back, guys. We are getting your messages. Macy from Lewahan Secondary School in Buipatong. That is a school in Sidibeng West. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mem Notoza, a big shout out from your learners. Guys, I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying the lesson. And then the other learners, guys, you can also keep your messages coming in. So let us do this one, guys. I'm also checking my messages there. I haven't received any calculations from you guys, but I'm sure they're still coming through. So this one, we want to calculate which option is going to be cheaper if a person wants to travel a distance of what? Of 80 kilometers. Let's start with the first, the easiest one, which is what? Which is your AVs. Remember, we have the formula for AVs. We said for AVs, it would be 6 Rand 50 multiplied by N. And what is N? It is the number of kilometers traveled. So then we'll say 6 Rand 50 multiplied. How many kilometers were traveled? It is 80 kilometers. So you multiply, you say 6 Rand 50 multiplied by 80. What is the answer? I'm getting 520. So it means if you are using AVs and you want to travel for 80 kilometers, you are going to pay 520. Now, let's go to the other option. The second option is what it is? Budget. For budget, we've got a formula as well for budget, guys. Remember, for budget, it is 165 plus, remember the plus, 350 multiplied by N. N stands for what there? Number of kilometers. So let us do our calculations. It is 165 plus 3 Rand 50 cents. How many kilometers do we have? We've got 80 kilometers. Guys, if you punch this in as it is on your calculator will do both mass. But let me do it step by step. Remember, both mass said we must multiply first, then we can add. So I'm going to say 3 Rand 50 multiplied by 80 is giving me 280. So 280 plus 165, I'm getting 445. 445 rands. I hope that is the answer that we are getting. Did we answer the question? Let's go back to our question. Which car hire company would be cheaper? Looking at the two options, which car hire company is cheaper? We can therefore say, budget, because for budget you will pay 445, whereas for AVs you will pay how much? 520. So which car hire is the cheapest? Budget is the cheapest. Budget is the cheapest. And then there was a follow-up question. And by how much? So it is cheaper by how much? This is where now you do the difference. By what? By 520 minus 445, which is equals to 520 minus 445. And the answer that I'm getting is 75 Rand. So we can now all agree that budget is the cheapest company, and it is cheaper by how much? By 75 Rands. Guys, I hope this is exactly how you did it. I hope you got it right. If not, keep on practicing, keep on watching this link until you get it right. Oh, guys, this means that now we've come to the end of our tariff system revision. And like I said when I started that today, our main focus is to wrap up the tariffs that we started last week. And then from there, we are going to start the section of interest. So all these items, remember all these topics here are the subtopics that falls under the finance section. So we've done all of them, all these ones that are highlighted in green: the financial documents done, taxation done, tariffs done, income and expenditure, cost price, break even. And then now we are going to start with our interest. So this one is a new lesson on interest. So these are the lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, guys, you should be able to differentiate between the interest rate and the interest value or the interest amount, because there's a difference between the two. You must know there's what we call interest rate, there's what we call the interest amount. So it's very important that you know the difference. And then you must perform calculations involving simple and compound interest manually. You must also represent simple or compound interest growth in graphs. And then lastly, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to work with the hire purchase agreements. So these are our 4 lesson objectives on this section of interest. Now, guys, the issue of terminology, I cannot overemphasize how important this is, because remember, these are also examinable. You can take any previous question paper for Maths Lit. You will see there is no way they don't ask you about terminologies. The examiner can ask you what is the difference between interest rate and the interest amount. You must be able to explain that, because that is where you are supposed to be collecting the marks. So these are just the few of the terminologies. When you talk about interest, guys, interest, it can be earned. Interest can also be charged. It depends on the context that you are working with. So if I'm going to the bank to borrow money, the bank will obviously charge me interest. So in that context, how would you explain interest? You will say interest is the extra money that is charged on money borrowed, because I was borrowing money. But if I have this large amount of money, let's say I have 50,000 and I want to go and invest this 50,000. What is to invest? I'm going to give it to the bank to keep it safe for me. And then the bank will allow me to earn interest while I'm saving that money. So while that money is there, the money accumulates interest. So in that scenario, we'll then say that interest, it is the extra money earned on the money that has been invested or on the money that has been saved. So the examiner again can ask you to explain interest in the given context. So if a person is investing, it will be the extra money earned. But if a person is borrowing money, then it will be the extra money charged. I hope you understand the difference between the two. Most of the time, the examiners will ask you to give an explanation of a terminology based on the given context. And then we've got interest rate. A lot of learners they mistake the interest with the interest rate. When they're asked to define interest rate, they explain interest, the interest amount. What you must know with the interest rate, the key word there, it is the word rate. And we know that rate means what? It means percentage. So when you explain interest rate, what I want to see first, before everything else, I want to see the word percentage. So how you explain it, you will then say that interest rate, it is the percentage used to calculate the amount of interest that is either earned or charged. That is how you will explain your interest rate. For just mentioning the percentage used, you will get a mark for that. And for the further explanation, it's a second mark. So if you explain and you leave out the percentage, you are already losing that first mark there. So the key word for the interest rate, it is what it is, percentage. And then we've got what we call the principal amount. The principal amount, it is the initial amount. It is the original amount. If I've got some large sum of money, like 50,000, and I decide to go and invest it with a certain bank, that 50,000, because that is the amount that I've invested, it is my principal amount. It is my initial amount at the beginning of the investment period. I want to buy a car. I don't have money to buy a car cash. I go to the bank to borrow money, to take a loan, and I borrow 150,000 rands. That 150,000 rands that I borrow without any interest, anything, that is what? That is the principal amount. That is the original amount that I borrowed without any interest and or any interest charged. And then we have the accumulated or the total amount. And this one, it is also called what? The final amount. What is the final amount? Final amount, it is your principal amount plus the interest that has been charged, or plus the interest that you have earned. Again, it depends on the context. If you borrowed money The final amount will be the money that you borrowed plus the interest that they're going to charge you. But if you've invested money, the final amount would be the original amount that you invested plus the interest that you've accumulated. And then we've got simple interest, guys. What is simple interest? It is the interest that is calculated only on the principal amount of money that has been invested or that has been borrowed. And then we've got compound interest. This one, we say that it is interest that is charged on an amount already inclusive of the interest charges. I like to explain simple interest and compound interest by means of calculations so that you guys can physically see the difference between simple and compound interest. But we will do that in this exercise. Very important, guys, for Maths Lit, for our subject, for mathematical literacy, we are not allowed to use a formula when we are calculating simple and compound interest. This also includes the final amount. If you are calculating the final amount, you are not allowed to use simple and compound interest formula. Actually, as far as the Maths Lit people, we are all concerned, we don't even know the simple and compound interest formula. We've never seen it. We do everything manually so that we can physically see the difference between simple interest and compound interest. And here is a quick example on simple interest. I think from the word simple, it tells you that it's actually simple to do. It's very easy to do. So there is Nikki. She invested 10,000 rands in a fixed deposit account at his bank. This fixed deposit earns an interest rate of 11.8% per annum. So this person has invested money. If you are in the exam and the examiner asks you to explain the meaning of interest in the given context, you will then say interest, it is the extra money earned on the money that has been invested, because this person is doing what is investing. They're not borrowing. But then that is not the question here. We have the initial amount, the principal amount, it is 10,000 rands. And then this fixed deposit, it earns an interest rate of how much? Of 11.8%. And this one is per annum. Per annum means per year, for 1 year or for each year. Now, we must calculate the interest amount Nikki will earn at the end of 2 years. So with simple interest, it's very simple. We'll start by calculating interest for the first year. So let's calculate interest for the first year. How are we going to calculate that? It is 10,000 rands multiplied by, guys, what is the interest rate? It is 11.8%. So 11.8%, how do you guys write it? I say this is 11.8 divided by 100, because I know the percentage sign means out of 100. And then we take out our calculators. We say 10,000 rands multiplied by 11.8%. And the answer is 1,180. But what is this 1,180? Remember, this is the interest for 1 year. But how long is the investment? The investment is for how long? Is for 2 years. So what would be the interest now after 2 years? We'll now say interest after 2 years. It would be 1,180 multiplied by 2. Remember, this is for 1 year. So if you want to know for the second year, multiply by 2, which is equals to 2,360. So this would be the total amount of interest that will be accumulated after 2 years. And we've answered the question because they wanted us to calculate what? The interest amount. They didn't want the final amount. They just wanted the interest amount. And the interest amount is how much? It is 2,360. 360. Guys, I hope you are following. I hope you are understanding. Again, this is not a new section. You did this last term. Towards the end of term 1, you guys were busy with interest with your teachers. So again, this is a very nice revision session because you've already done this in your classes. And then number 2, the second example, Lebo wants to purchase a laptop, but does not have the cash to do so. So her uncle agrees to lend her 7,000 rands at 5% per annum. Remember I said per annum means per year. So at 5% per annum simple interest for how many years for? For 3 years. Now what must we do? We are required to calculate how much will be paid back in total after 3 years. So what are we looking for here? We are looking for the final amount at the end of the loan period. And what is our loan period? It is 3 years. So we want to know how much will go to the uncle in total, including interest. I remember I said simple interest means that it is actually simple. So let's start. We're starting with interest for year 1. For year 1, so I'll just say for first year, it is what? It is the amount, which is 7,000. And then we multiply by the interest rate, which is 5%, guys. 5% means, it means 5 divided by 100, which is equals to 7,000 multiplied by 5%. I'm getting 350. But remember, guys, this 350 is for 1 year. But how long is the loan? What is the loan period? It is 3 years. So if I want to know the interest for 3 years, I will take, let me just say interest for 3 years. For 3 years, I will take the 350 times it by the number of years, times it by 3 years. It's equals to 1,050. So this would be the interest after 3 years. Did we answer the question? What was the question again? Calculate how much will be paid back in total. So we want the final amount. What is the final amount? So I can say that final amount is equals to the initial or the original amount. Initial amount, or rather the principal amount. Initial amount plus the interest amount. Which is equals to, what is the initial amount of the loan? It was 7,000 rands. Plus, what is the interest amount after 3 years? It was 1,050. Is equals to, so 7,000 plus 1,050, the total amount would be 8,050. So this is how much Lebo will pay back the uncle at the end of a 3-year period. If the uncle gives Lebo the loan with 5% per annum simple interest. Girls and boys, I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's lesson. And unfortunately, because of time, we've come to the end of our session. But please do join us for our next lesson, as we'll be moving over to your compound interest and your hire purchase agreements. So from me, guys, it was so nice being here with you this afternoon. I really hope that you guys enjoy it. Please continue to stay safe. Follow the COVID-19 protocols. Put on your mask, sanitize your hands, wash your hands, keep a safe distance amongst yourself. Until we meet again, thank you.